All right, all right. Good evening, everybody. And for all my good Adventists out there that's watching, happy Sabbath to you. Happy Sabbath. We are excited to have you on. Please, at this time, if you could just share our video. We have a great topic on for tonight. Great speaker. And looking forward to having this conversation for sure. As you all know, the hot button issue for at least the Adventist community lately has been about the Oakwood Adventist Academy basketball team. So I'm excited to talk about that, dig into that, ask some of the questions that people have on their mind about this whole ordeal. So first thing is all I need you all to share, put in your comments, say if you want to ask any questions, feel free to put that in the comments as well. We'll try to get to them. If we can't, we'll let you know. But we are definitely happy to have you all here. Happy Sabbath, brother Cousins, Bishop Cousins, excuse me. I don't happy Sabbath to you, man. And we're excited, like I said, to have everybody here tonight. Continue to share. Make sure y'all share in my favorite group. My favorite, we have like a hate love relationship, the Wakanda. Share in that group too. All right, I'm gonna bring on. I got two people that I love and respect. One is that the athletic director from Oakwood Adventist Academy. This has been like a huge thing about. You know what? Actually, before I do that, let me just share for some people that's joining. Let me just share with you all what has transpired, and I'll try to share like a little bit of the video, and then after that, I'll bring on the athletic director from Oakwood Adventist Academy. So I'm gonna share you real quick a news story that was done on this situation, and then we'll bring on athletic director and my boy EJ. He's like a regular on here, so you already know who he is. He needs no introduction, but he is an attorney. All right. So with that being said, give me just a moment. Let me share this real quick. Okay, it seems like we had a little technical difficulties with hearing with the video, so I'm just gonna explain the situation if you couldn't hear. Y'all got to tell me in the comments if y'all can't hear. I don't be knowing, but somebody told me, so we good. Real quick, so Oakwood Adventist Academy basically was forced to forfeit last week's game. The game was supposed to be last Saturday. It was like regionals. If y'all ever played basketball, I'm not a basketball guy myself. I watch it, but I've never played it. And but when you make it to like the states, the regionals, that's a huge thing. That's a big thing. And so basically, the issue was individuals. The Alabama Athletic Association was not willing to move the game, even though Oakwood had agreed with with the people, the opposing team, and also some other teams to switch the time. And can you all hear me now? Oh, okay. Somebody said can't hear now. All right. So overall, I just want to be clear. So they ended up forfeiting the game. It was a big to do, and then also the governor got involved and some other things. So, anyways, don't let me do all the explaining. I'm gonna let the people come on and talk about it real quick. So I got my guy, Mr. Calvin Morton. First off, man, let me just say, I'm so proud of you, man. We went to Oakwood together. You kind of came
Absolutely.
on my Indy, it's my Indy reign of U.S. president. But uh, all love, man, all love, and
Oh
I'm so
man.
happy, he was here. And
Oh
then
man.
of course, here's my guy, EJ. EJ, you just want to say what's up? EJ,
What's
he's in
good?
Cali, so he's on a different time frame than us out there. So we're happy to have you, man. So brother Cal, I don't want to. I know you got a lot of interviews. You the man out here now, so I don't want to hold you up. You feel me? Um, my first thing is like, some of the questions and some of the things I was reading online was
Mhm.
why do they even care that it's the Sabbath? Like, God don't care about y'all playing basketball on the Sabbath. Like, what's going on with that? Why y'all even making this a big deal, brother?
I mean, it's a big deal because as an institution, as an Adventist institution, we got to practice what we preach, especially when we're guiding these young Black children. So God said, the seventh day, it's made for rest. 6 days shall labor, do all that work, but God bless the 7 day and holiday. So we're just practicing what we're preaching, telling our kids that even though you're playing in the game, it's a sense of competition and it's a sense of work for them. So we don't want them to go out there and play the game. So that's that. Just practice what we're preaching and telling the kids, if this is a faith that you want to follow, this is a part of the faith. Some people have their own, views about the Sabbath, and
Yeah.
and that's between them and God. I'm not the one to say that you can't do this or you can't do that as an individual. But that's that.
Yeah. So, but basically, your thing is like it's the institution. So, like, of course, you're
Yeah.
gonna hold up. Not only like of course, we all got our little personal beliefs. I might cut on
Hmm.
the game tonight or something, but for the most
Hmm.
part, we know our beliefs and we have
Right.
to stick by them. So, I got you. I got you on
Yeah.
that, man. And this has got you a lot of attention, man. It's got you a lot of attention. I saw that the governor sent a letter on you all's behalf. And
Hmm.
I've also read in some circles like, oh, it's an election year. I'm like,
Hmm.
so my thing was like, so my whole piece was like, well, it's election year, but she's a Republican in a
Hmm.
Republican state, so
Hmm.
it can't be too much. But what do you
Hmm.
say to that? Like getting, a letter from the governor, being on
Hmm.
CNN. Like, what do you say
Hmm.
to all that? Do you think that's political? Do you think it's like, what do you think about that?
I mean, a part of it is political. Let's be honest. We are in Alabama, a red state, and also Alabama is a religious state also.
Yeah,
But with that being said, this situation is honestly bigger. This is probably a bigger platform for us than winning the actual state championship. For us to shine light on something like this on a platform that we have, it's basically it's global at this point, and it's actually surprising how far this got for us. We didn't anticipate it getting this far, but Lord willing, we're here. And so while we're here, we're going to do what we think is best to make change, not just for Oakwood Adventist Academy, but for other religious schools who have to have, reasonable accommodations for their faith and their religion. So I think that, going to see Governor Ivy, she did extend an invitation to us. And
yeah,
we're working to accept that and get our boys down there to go see, Alabama State governor's office and to experience that because some of these boys without this situation would may never experience something like that, and this could be life changing for them.
true,
So
true.
just going from there, and into the political side of it, it could be a election year or it is a election year for her. So we're just trying to make lemons out of lemonade, trying to make the best of the situation for us, and I'm pretty sure she's going to do the same for herself.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm a guy involved in politics myself, so I understand that some stuff is political, but you have to
Hmm.
accept it. Like you said, make lemonade out of lemons, brother. I don't know,
Hmm.
EJ. You want to hop in with a question real quick? You want to say anything?
I mean, I think I got the question that most people have, and
Hmm.
that is, did the school know that they could
Hmm.
not, or they had agreed to play basketball on the Sabbath or black basketball regardless of time and place
Hmm.
when they joined the Alabama High School Athletic Association?
Yeah. So.
And so before that,
Uh-huh.
why don't you tell them how long you've been there as the athletic director too?
So this is only my second year. So
Okay,
I got here last fall or two
so this
falls
would be
ago.
after the contract would have been signed, right?
Yeah, so the
Okay,
contract was signed in 2017. To be specific, August 23rd, 2017.
okay,
So myself and the current administration, we were not aware of this document until last week's discussion with the association. And the document did state that Oakwood would not petition or forfeit any games in postseason play or championship play. But for us, we weren't trying to forfeit the game. We weren't trying to petition the game. We were asking for a reasonable accommodation,
yeah,
just a simple 4:30 time change to a 7:30 time change. So the initial response with the state was, "Hey, you know, we're Seventh-day Adventists. We don't play games from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. We were scheduled to play at 4:30. Is it possible for us to flip a game here and there for us to play at 7:30 or at 6:30? And they denied our first request. So I took the liberty out to reach out to all the other schools, and being an athletic director, you're in communication with all the schools and all moving parts of scheduling games.
Look at
So,
you, man.
yeah, so I
I'm
reached
proud,
out
bro.
to the
I'm proud,
schools.
man.
I appreciate it. So I reached out to the schools that were participating. The 4:30 game that we were supposed to play Faith Christian. So I reached out to Faith Christian first and asked them would they be willing to flip to a later time change, and they agreed. They were more than willing to accommodate us. Then I reached out to Decatur Heritage, which is our sister school in our area. And then I reached out to Cornerstone Christian, and those two schools were willing to flip their 7:30 game time to play at 4:30, so we could play at 7:30. So once I did all that legwork, I took it to the state, and they still denied our request. So from there, we had conversation. We just kept asking. We weren't going to give up until the last hour on Friday. So we was going to wait this thing out. But unfortunately, we had the forfeit. And due to that forfeit, Faith Christian advanced, and our season ended right there. That Friday, our season ended. So the boys didn't get a chance to to play for a state championship. And this was school history. Oakwood Adventist Academy has never gone this far in terms of playing basketball. So it was devastating for the boys. And that's what it hurts me the most, because these boys put in a lot of work in the summertime. They put in work in the classroom to stay eligible to play. They played, a good season, and then for it to come to an end like that, that hurts.
How many of the guys are seniors on the team?
We only had one senior.
Okay. So they'll be back next year then.
Yeah. So the majority of the team.
What do you think about? Yeah. Do you think will you all participate? Because I know that's a big thing with Adventists. Like, should we even participate in this type of stuff in these associations or whatever? So do you all? Is that under discussion now? Like, are you all even going to participate in that next year?
Can we ask
Go
first?
ahead.
Are you all planning to take any legal action regarding what happened this year, to protect if you all participate next year, that to see that this doesn't happen again?
Right now, I'm not privy to speak towards any legal action. I can direct anyone to our legal counsel in terms of that, but I'm not at privy to speak towards that.
Sure.
Okay. So we don't know if that, but so tell us about next year. What's going on next year? Are you all gonna?
Yeah. So we have full plans to participate in the Alabama High School Athletic Association moving forward next year. We're still going to, fight for this change. God willing, that we won't be in this position next year. But we've already, planned and started scheduling games for our next season. So we are, fully prepared to play next year.
And something I noticed, so when you were mentioning the games that were being played, all these schools are Christian schools. So help me understand, how did that come to fruition? Like, are you all only playing against other Christian schools? Is that help me understand that? Because I noticed, like you said, Faith Christian and some other Christian schools that was playing. So do you all play the public schools, or you just play?
No, so Alabama High School Athletic Association, they govern majority, if not most, of all the high schools in the state of Alabama.
Okay.
So we're playing against public schools, we're playing against private schools, Christian schools also. It just so happens in our region that 4 Christian schools advance to the states or qualify for the states. So, and then not all schools, we're the only Adventist school in this association. All the other schools are just, different denominations of Christianity. So, it was kind of ironic that our region had all Christian schools coming out.
Yeah. And then we couldn't, don't even get me wrong. I'm not going to get you way out there. We're going to have that discussion once you leave. But there's a question asked, and I think that it was kind of answered. Did the Alabama Association ever state why they denied the request? Is that, I'm assuming they are standing on the language from the original contract that was signed 3-4 years ago?
Correct. Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So from that document, that's what they're standing on.
And they're and so Okay. And then there was another question. Also, so somebody had I don't know if you have much thought on this, or EJ, you as well. It says, why don't we have a national league of all the Adventist academies and have a national champion? What do you think about that?
It sounds good in theory, but when you actually when you dive deep into it, not too many of our Adventist schools are wealthy enough to, accommodate such league
Travel.
where we have to travel. And then on top of that, academically, we have these kids out of the classroom. And then not to think about, we're still in a pandemic. So things like that you have to take account for. So I mean, in theory, it sounds great. And if we can, as a collective unit, that's where it has to be. We have to be on one page to make that type of thing happen. Until then, it's going to be tough for Adventist schools to do something like that.
No, it makes sense. That makes sense for sure. EJ?
Yeah, I mean, to answer that question, we don't have one because someone hasn't started one would be the first thing, right? I mean, so somebody asking the question, I think, has every opportunity to start one if they want. As a former athlete myself who played in Adventist schools and dealt with, religious accommodations and things like that when I was at Oakwood, I really wouldn't want to be in a purely Adventist league, to be completely honest with you. I would love to compete against the best players everywhere. I don't think that asking for religious accommodations are that much of a burden on these institutions and organizations, as I think was demonstrated in this situation here. And so I think it's important to, in my opinion, I think to request accommodations and to see that these organizations understand that these accommodations are minimal burdens, and that they preserve the integrity and the efficiency of their leagues. It's best when we have every team, as competitive as they are, coming in and playing, right? I mean, I don't understand why the association would want to diminish the validity of their state championships by denying such a simple request. And so, I stand with Oakwood. I think from a legal standpoint, and we can get into that, I think that there should be some good claims there for them. But I stand with their willingness and their desire to compete against the best in the state, regardless of religion.
EJ can't he can't say it, I can't say it better. That's why I bring the brother on. But, there's a question. I got like 2 final questions for you, because I know, like I said, you gotta go there. Me and EJ gonna tackle some of the stuff that we know you can't talk about, brother. Now, is there a contract that needs to be signed every year? Like, why is it like only since 2017 people was trying to wonder? Is there like a yearly contract that's renewed? Like, what happens with that?
So to my knowledge, no, there's not a yearly contract. To my knowledge, that contract that was signed in 2017 is long-standing until, we decide to leave the association.
Got you. Okay. And then what's the witness been like, man? Like, like you young Black brother out there, Adventist. How do you, like, what's that been like, man? I know you always hold yourself in high regard, but
I mean, I can't lie, man. This past week it's been a whirlwind. Just from going and talking to just local news, and then, being on camera and then being on the news, and talking to CNN, and then having a journal out in the Wall Street Journal. So it's been mind blowing. It's been, mind boggling to see where we are now. But I mean, I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, I'm fighting for these boys, man. That's ultimately what I'm doing. I'm fighting for these boys, and I'm fighting for them to have opportunity, to demonstrate their talents. Sometimes they get overlooked in terms of athletics. Sometimes they say, that's the only thing they can do. But no, some of these boys are bright. I would say out of the 9 boys on our team, 7 or 8 made honorable mention, honor roll, or principals list.
Nice.
So, I'm going to do whatever I can do in my power to fight for these boys, for them to have a chance to demonstrate their talents to the world.
Man, I love it. And we'll leave it at that. I don't know if you want to add anything else, man, but I'm thankful, man, for you coming on. I know you're busy.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be on here, man. I'm glad to be on here, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And good luck next year. I know y'all win. I know y'all probably gonna win this year, man. That's probably, they give you all them trouble. But but I'm definitely know that there'll be much success in that program, and I'm excited that you're a part of it, bro. Seriously, man. So
appreciate it, man.
All right, we'll have you on soon again to talk about some more
Absolutely,
stuff.
man. Absolutely. I'm
All
open
right, have a
for
good
it.
day. All right. All right. EJ, so a lot of people have been asking, what are the legal, ramifications of this? Can Oakwood sue? What do you think about that? Like, does Oakwood have a case?
Well, that would be difficult. Yes, I do think they have a case, but I want to, proceed with caution because I don't know all of the facts. I don't know all of the details of everything. I haven't seen the contract that they signed and whatnot, but I can give you sort of the legal framework to which to be thinking about some of the issues that are going to come up. And I think it's going to, I think when you have an issue of contract, right? That's one of the things that people have been saying. Well, they signed a contract, they agreed and whatnot.
Yeah.
Every contract signed is not a good contract or a legal contract, right? I don't know the details of that, but I do know that it seems like it's an extremely harsh contract to require that someone agree to be a part of an association on a condition that they cannot forfeit or petition for any sorts of accommodations, right? Because, not only does that include religious accommodations or religious situations, that includes acts of God. So if, someone on a team or significant members of the team suffer from, some sort of supernatural or natural act, tornadoes hit the town or hit the home, right? Somebody has a family emergency, those types of things. It seems like from what the Alabama High School Athletic Association has put out, that there's no exception for any of that, which seems really rigid and I think really
And to me,
harsh.
it seems like I was reading something. He was like, we knew that this would be an issue, so we made it clear to Oakwood. We brought back to our board. We made it clear to Oakwood that when they signed a contract, most of our games are on Saturday and Friday. But it's like it seemed like and I don't know if this is true or not. I'm sure that once this is, if it's taken to the legal realm, it will be kind of sorted out there. But it seems like that comes off to me as discrimination. Like, do they have the same contract as everybody else?
So
Why
it
would
sounds like it sounds like it's a general contract, maybe, but I mean, maybe there was some communication that was emphasized, based on their knowledge of Oakwood and the Sabbath keeping, the tenets of their faith. But I think that it's pretty well established from a constitutional standpoint that organizations, state actors can make religious accommodations and should in these instances. And so the first question is going to be, and I think it's, considering Governor Kay Ivey's letter and the Alabama High School Athletic Association's response, they brought up some issues. And I think some of the questions that Kay Ivey was asking was surrounding if the AHSAA is a government entity or is controlled by a government entity, or they have some sort of nexus or entwinement with the government on a significant level, then that would essentially make them a state actor, because AHSAA is not a government entity in and of itself. It's a private non-profit corporation. And so, but there is Supreme Court case law that's well established where an athletic association could be considered a state actor based on their certain entwinements or a nexus or some sort of test that shows or is demonstrated that they are acting either on behalf of the state, or the state has a great influence on what they're doing and whatnot. And so that's the first question for any constitutional action here on Oakwood's part: is the Alabama High School Athletic Association a state actor? If they are a state actor, then the question becomes, have they imposed a substantial burden on Oakwood Academy's free exercise of religion, which is the First Amendment, right? Because the First
Yeah.
Amendment says that the Congress and the government cannot make, certain cannot restrict free exercise of religion, restrict freedom of speech, or
Yeah.
establish a religion or whatnot is in the First Amendment, and so it has to be a state actor. So if
And
it's a
Mr.
state
Smith
actor,
says,
yeah.
he says a state rep is calling for an audit of the association books because they are receiving state funds from public schools. So,
And that and
which
I
kind of goes to your point,
so if you I had the chance to look at the history of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. The Alabama High School Athletic Association was initially created for public schools.
Mm,
They have they have uh, they have allowed private schools to come in, but it was initially created for public schools. And I know there's another athletic association in Alabama that's more geared towards private schools. So I think that I don't know all the details. I'm not saying
yeah.
anything for sure, but I think that there's probably some pretty substantial evidence that the Alabama High School Athletic Association is a state actor. Will be my bet if I was a betting man. And so I think that, based on that, it's the question is then going to become whether or not uh, Oakwood Academy can demonstrate that they've been burdened, have a substantial burden against their free exercise of religion. And part of that is, the questions of, do athletes have a right to play basketball, right? And I think
Mhm.
that's part of the framing that courts have kind of dealt with. But I think at the heart of this, it's not about protecting athletic participation; it's about protecting religious practices.
Mhm.
And so, I encourage Oakwood. It sounds like they are taking legal action. I think there's a lot there. I think there's some precedent specifically for Seventh-day Adventism and
Yeah.
religious accommodations within sports. There is case law within the federal courts that is pretty cognizant of Seventh-day Adventism, their tenets, and the fact that religious accommodations are permissible under the Constitution, and I think they should be. So, from that standpoint, I think that Oakwood has a pretty decent shot at getting some action in that arena.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's been a lot of people. I saw the letter come out from the guy today, and then all the Adventists like, oh, why did Oakwood sign that? What made them sign that such a letter? Which I'm like, I'm really curious to what was the mindset there. Was it just like overlooked? Was it was it a mistake? That's the question. I'm kind of really looking at because I just can't see no matter who's in that position. I just can't see them. Say if you had like this liberal Adventist, I don't care about basketball being played on the Sabbath. I just can't kind of like what Mr. Morton was saying. You have to represent the institution, and the institution made it clear. Like, no, we're not playing basketball on the Sabbath. Anybody know that
Right.
that's Adventist.
Right.
So I can't see them signing a contract that says you cannot you cannot forfeit a game. You have to play on the Sabbath. I just can't see that happening. So I'm really intrigued to see where this goes ultimately.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like I said, like I've played sports in Adventist schools since elementary school. That has been, and I think probably will always be the preeminent concern for any athletic department at any Adventist school is what
Mhm.
are the religious accommodations for Sabbath, and I think that has been what has essentially prevented us from joining certain organizations or conferences or leagues because of that. But I agree. I have a hard time believing from a personal standpoint that an Adventist institution would knowingly waive their ability to petition or ask request a religious accommodation. But I guess that's something that we'll see in the future when some of the things come out. I read the letter from Kay Ivey, from the governor, as well as from the response from the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and I'm looking at I think Kay Ivey kind of she didn't really set out all of the constitutional questions that she should have. I think when she asked about specific funding, that's one factor that you consider in whether there's a relationship there that makes them a state actor, right? There's other things that could be, do they have public officials on their board? You know, the fact that the majority of the schools are public and that they use public school facilities to have these contests. So I think that there are a ton of factors that should be considered in whether or not the association is a state actor, and, you know, kind of going from there and, you know, deciding whether or not either, you know, what constitutional scrutiny applies from judicial scrutiny, strict scrutiny and rational basis, which is all like high level kind of legal stuff that we probably don't have time to get into.
So final question, does the GC get involved in this?
I know that the GC has legal counsel, and I know that they have argued things that affect religious freedom, religious liberty, and, you know, religious accommodations and things like that. So I don't doubt that they have the ability to step in.
I heard brother, one of the, I don't know if he's a professor at Oakwood, but somebody put, you know, Adventists shouldn't even be playing this public ball.
I mean, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinions about.
They said Ellen White told us not to be down there in these arenas down there playing. So maybe that was one of the issues anyway. So, and I see on a real level, on a real note, I can't see Ted Wilson like, hey, let's send some lawyers down there to do something. I cannot see Ted Wilson sanctioning like, hey, they should be down there playing basketball, right?
The good thing about that is that you don't need Adventists necessarily to bring those suits, right? You have First Amendment lawyers, you have constitutional lawyers and scholars who very well understand what issues are at play. And, you know, there are other religious organizations that have gone through things. Mormons have had these issues. Jewish individuals have had these issues. So this is not something that is so uncommon or so peculiar that only Adventists can kind of take it and understand it. So, you know, even if we don't get that sort of support, which I don't know if we are or not, you know, I think there are plenty of people who can take that and do an excellent job.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Okay. Cappy, I thought I did send you the link, my brother. I'm sorry about that. You have to catch you on the next time. But definitely, I'm thankful for everybody that came on today. Thankful you all tuning in. We will continue with these type of topics in the future. But this is a very important topic, honestly, you know, talking about the Adventist faith and what we believe in and standing up for our faith. And hats go off to Calvin Morton and all of his people. You know, I know that was like it was hard to go through that entire ordeal, but I'm happy that they stood strong, stood on their faith. And that was one thing I was going to ask them about. I know they got a lot of different things going. Oakwood Church gave them like tickets to the Memphis game this week, so they get to go see Ja. Can't go wrong with that. You feel me? But I'm excited. I'm excited to see, you know, what's in their future. And he said they should be back, so hopefully it's resolved by next year, because he said that only one of them is a senior. So
you know, and my heart goes out to those boys, because I can't even imagine the heartbreak I would feel as a high school athlete and missing a chance to compete in the playoffs for that. So I think in all of this, you know, I really want to just send my you know, my regards to them, because, you know, I was there once. And so, you know, hopefully they can pave the way for the future, but hopefully, you know, they get a shot at it again. And to the senior that's graduating, hopefully, you know, he doesn't take it too hard or whatnot. So, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll leave it at that. Thank you all for joining the broadcast. Share it, let people see it. Thank you for joining, EJ. Always appreciate your expertise, my brother. Couldn't do it without you. All right, have a good night. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Happy Sabbath.